Now, okay. And Jews returned with news that Jerusalem, the walls have been burned down and the gates has fallen. So there was, judgment. There was things were not in alignment. Things were not good at Jerusalem. And so what Nehemiah did was that he prayed, and he prayed for forgiveness of his people, because he realized that his people have sinned. That's why it has caused that craziness back home. And he was a king. He was a cupbearer to the king. And to be a cupbearer to a king, you have to really be somebody who is like respected, trusted. It was a royalty position. Okay, so he left Jerusalem and he was a cupbearer to a king and somewhere, and he was just serving. And then he heard all this news, what was going on back home, and his heart ached. His heart was broken for his people back home. And so he prayed for forgiveness over the people. He prayed for forgiveness, that it is the sins of his people that has caused that judgment on them. And so what Nehemiah did was he went to the king, and he was like, he didn't really, he was just before the king, and he was looking very sad. The king was like, whoa, what's going on? You look really sad. You're not sick. What's going on? He's like, my people are perishing back there. They have, the walls are falling down. The walls are burning down. The gates are falling down. I just need to go see about my people. And the king was like, okay, how long are you gonna go? And Nehemiah told him, and the king was like, okay, I will let you go, and not only will I let you go, I am gonna send a letter so that you can pass through the places that you're gonna go safely without anybody stopping you. And then he sent with him provision to go to his country to restore. So Nehemiah basically was somebody who was supposed to rebuild, restore, and revive Jerusalem, because he had a heart of servitude. He had a heart to see the fulfillment of his people, of a nation. He didn't care about money. He had a heart for the balance of a country that he left behind. And that's what God is looking for. He's looking for, do you have a heart to rebuild, restore, and revive where he's taking you, or what he's telling you to do? So when Nehemiah went there, he didn't tell anybody what he came there for. He didn't expose the plans that God gave him to do. He didn't tell anybody that. He just went there and he observed. At nighttime, he got up and he went to the city and he looked at all the things that were going on. So God is saying, can you keep it to yourself? Meaning that when God tells you something that he's going to do, can you keep it to yourself? Meaning, if God tells you, I'm going to send you to this church to go and rebuild, revive, and restore the church, are you going to sound an alarm on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter? Oh, guess what? God is going to take me here and go use me to do. God hasn't released you to release that. Nehemiah had a heart of humility. He didn't need to boast what he's going to do or what God was going to use him to do. He knew that his relationship with God was good enough that he didn't need validation from anybody. He knew what God has told him, so he kept it to himself until the fulfillment of what God spoke to him became evident. He didn't need to say, because God showed it to the people. All right. So Nehemiah 2:16, it says here, Nehemiah 2:16, it says, the rulers didn't know where I went or what I did, neither had I as yet told it to the Jews, nor to the priests, nor to the nobles, nor to the rulers, nor to the rest who did the work. Okay? So he didn't go around, telling them, oh yeah, I'm going to be the one who's going to help y'all. I am the the champion. I have come to rescue you. He didn't do that. I would say like Nehemiah wasn't like, in the Bible, the person who was so quick to tell dreams and things that God tell them was Joseph. And and God gave me a clarity why Joseph did that. Joseph told his brothers what God wanted to tell him because he trusted his brothers. Like he had a childlike trust. He didn't see evil on people. And also, the only time that his brothers wanted to listen to him was when he had something to say about what God was going to do, even though they hated him for it. That's the only time they wanted to talk to him. So Joseph, being the only son that was just basically by himself, never really fit in with his brothers, found an opportunity to share with his brothers what God was telling him when he was not supposed to. But you know what? The thing is, God will use even what the enemy will try to do against you to get you where you're supposed to be. And that's what God did with Joseph. He led him where he was supposed to be, even though his brother used what he said against him. Okay? So God is saying, can you keep it to yourself? When God tell you this is what he's going to use you to do, you're going to write a book, are you going to just go on Instagram and just blast what God told you and just have people liking and commenting, oh, that's amazing? Sometimes it's best to just keep quiet until God fulfill it. Because the enemy cannot destroy what they don't know. Some of you're thinking, oh, every time God tell me to do something and I say it, it don't go well because you're telling people, yes, but you don't know the people. Some of the people could be your enemy, just like Joseph's brothers. Yes, God's hands is gonna be on you, but it's better to just be quiet and let God tell you when to release it than to release it prematurely and have to go through a whole process. Okay, a whole process that Joseph had to go through. All right, so can you keep it to yourself? And the second thing is, God is saying, is waiting for the response something that you want him to do? Meaning, he wants to wait for the response, but he doesn't want to wait for so long. God doesn't waste words. He doesn't waste resources. He doesn't waste mentals. If God is saying, this is what he's calling you to do, and you just want to sit there and just cross your little fingers and be like, I don't know, God is not gonna sit there for years. He will give you opportunity after opportunity after opportunity after opportunity, but it will get to a point where he's like, you know what, I'm gonna go and use this person because I need to make this thing happen. Okay, now just because he passed over you to give the mentor to somebody, because God is not going to force you to take a mentor if you don't want it. He's not. He's a God. He's a gentleman. He's going to give you an option. He has free will. It's a gift from God. All right. You can say no or you can say yes. But the best thing you can say to God is yes, because he has a plan. All right. So if you undecisive, God is going to give the mentor to somebody else. All right. But he's going to give you he's going to bring another opportunity for you. Okay, but if you keep saying no, he's going to take the opportunity and give it to somebody else because he doesn't want to waste. He doesn't want to keep trying to talk to you that you need to respond. And then you see other people writing the book that God told you to write, and you're like, what? You see other people like opening the business that God told you to open, and you're like, oh my goodness, God told me to open that business like 5 years ago. And God is like, exactly, because you were going to be that person, but you do not want to respond. The third part is saying that the heart. What is the heart of Nehemiah? Let's look at Nehemiah 9:26. So Nehemiah 9:26, it says, nevertheless, they were disobedient and rebelled against you and cast your Lord behind their back and killed your prophets that testified against them to turn again to you, and they committed awful blasphemies. 27. Therefore, you delivered them into the hand of their adversaries who distressed them. In the time of their trouble, when they cried to you, you heard from heaven, and according to your manifold mercies, you gave them saviors who saved them out of the hand of their adversaries. But after they had rest, they did evil again before you. Therefore, left you them in the hand of their enemies, so that they had the dominion over them. Yet when they returned and cried to you, you heard from heaven, and many times you delivered them according to your mercies. Okay, so God is saying, like, a Nehemiah heart. Nehemiah saw all of this, that when during the time of the Israelites in the wilderness, God will continuously deliver them, and they will go back in their old ways. They will try and create a god with their jewelry, and God will tell them, no, you're not supposed to do that. And they will repent. God will forgive them, and they'll do something different, and they'll do something again. They kept doing evil after God forgave them. And Nehemiah is saying, this is a heart of God. This is something that God does. And we always say we want to be like God, but sometimes when people do harm to us, we don't want to continue forgiving them. We want to hold a grudge, And Nehemiah is saying, no. Just like God forgave the Israelites many multiple times, even now, God is still forgiving us many times, even you and I. Things that we might have done or said, God keeps forgiving us continuously. And that is the heart of Nehemiah. That when somebody does something to you, like a coworker that gossip about you or do things to you, are you gonna keep forgiving them? Because vengeance belongs to the Lord. You're not gonna hold them hostage. With unforgiveness, you're gonna forgive them and let it go, because if forgiveness can turn into anger, jealousy, it can turn into so many demonic things, demonic energy that you don't want, and it can really feed on your heart, and it is nasty. Unforgiveness it's horrible. It will give you a bitter heart. It's not something that you want to entertain. So if you feel like you're somebody that have a heart of unforgiveness, like if somebody does something to you, you cannot forgive easily, pray and fast for God to give you a heart of forgiveness, a spirit of forgiveness, a spirit of mercy, okay, to give to people, because you cannot be a leader if you don't know how to forgive quickly. It's important to know how to forgive quickly. All right? Don't let the sun go up with unforgiveness. Don't let the sun go down and up with unforgiveness. You have to release the people, because you get a sound mind. You have peace when you forgive. All right? And let God deal with it. Yes, whatever they did was horrible, but let God deal with it. All right? All right. So the fourth one is, are you willing to leave your cupbearer position for a nation? So basically, like I said, Nehemiah was a cupbearer. Okay, let's look at Nehemiah 1:1-3.